where I lost the entire rectifier system. Rectifier system is what produces DC power, because telecom predominantly uses DC power to run the loads. So you can imagine, Deepak, what happens when you lose the entire power system in a data center. We lost services to over maybe at that time 80% of our subscriber base, and it took us a very long time to recover, because when you instantly lose power and you don't give the servers a graceful shutdown, a lot of servers won't do the correct startup. They need a backup to be done manually. A lot of services had to be reconfigured. It was a real nightmare. It took the organizations a whole 3 days to fully recover from that particular incident, and to ensure that all customers.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Value Seller Talks with Deepak Bajaj, where we bring the exciting conversation with industry leaders, innovators, and visionaries who are shaping the future. Today, we have with us James Langat, an experienced professional in the telecommunication network management, specialized in power system, contract management, and radio access network technologies. Will start from 2G, 3G, 4G till 5G. And I'm pretty much sure the 6G will also be getting added very soon when it is launching. So his forte is in network implementation and operations, managing large-scale projects and coordinating cross-functional teams, which has contributed significantly to the growth and stability of the telecom networks. He is based out of Kenya. James is committed to advance the telecom sector through innovative solutions, best practices, and a result-driven approach. His leadership and technical acumen continue to shape the industry future, ensuring seamless connectivity and superior network reliability. And in today's time, the digital connectivity is the must. So he has a vision to uplift Africa and Africans. His efforts are creating a global benchmark to provide quality and assist African youth through his initiative and through his social responsibilities initiative, which he has taken always. He's always been a center of global attraction, represents him and his expertise at various international stages. So, not taking a further time, let's deep dive into his journey, insights, and vision for the future. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Deepak, and good morning. I'm glad to join this vodcast from Nairobi, Kenya. So I'm glad you could have me, and thank you for that warm introduction and welcome.
Thank you. You deserve it. I'm following you from last so many years. I know the pain which you are getting, you and your team is getting to get the network up and running. I come from telecom industry. I know how it works. And thanks for making the Africa a connected place.
Thank you.
Right. So, James, I have seen you at different forms. You are always been a center of global attraction. You talk about technology, innovatives, a lot of things which come from your expertise and learning. But I want to start about James as a person first.
Thank you, Deepak, and thank you for those accolades. James, as a person, was born right here in Kenya. I developed a very keen interest, even at my early age, on science and technology. And I went forward to pursue STEM-related courses and programs within my high school. I later got an opportunity to go into, of course, university. And I didn't even know that telecoms is what I wanted, but I really knew that I have a keen desire in terms of science, technology, and I used to be just fascinated with how stuff works. So it is upon that background that I now went to my campus studies. I studied in a place here in Kenya called Moi University. Excellent and beautiful place to be. So it is in my days in campus that I really discovered my passion for telecommunications and energy, as I would put it, because now I got an opportunity to deep dive into both topics, and of course to be led and guided correctly. I also got an opportunity to do several internships, so I was really able to shape into the person I am today. So I can say I've really benefited a lot with the knowledge that I've gained over time, both from school and lately from experience. I have been working in telecoms for the last 18 years. And I believe I've had a very distinguished career, and I love working here because of the impact and the transformation that we have in this country. If I talk as a Kenya, for instance, we have about a population of 55 million people, but I connect in where I work amongst the leading telecommunications provider in Kenya. We connect almost 40 million of those people. So it is just a gift to humanity to be able to work in a place where I enable those communications to go through. Having said that, I must say I'm a proud father, very enthusiastic about sports. I like running when I'm not doing my technology stuff. But those are the things that make me tick: my career, my family, and my desires and hobbies outside of work.
I love your statement that you talk about the purpose. When you mix your passion with the purpose, that's what, you start enjoying it. And
True.
thanks for bringing that up, because most of the people have a very big mismatch between what they want to do and what they're doing, you know. So,
Mhm.
so your science, your STEM understanding, as well as contributing back to the society is really remarkable.
Thank you.
I want you to take, 25 years back, right? So when
Hmm?
you started your journey, obviously, the telecom is 25 years back was very different. So how you started your telecom journey, and what are the key milestones which you have achieved in that transition?
True. I mean, if I think about 25 years back here in Kenya Deepak, we definitely did not have mobile phones. And the first phones that came out maybe 20 years ago were nothing compared to what we have today. So my reflections on those time, and I remember my father, when I was about 18 or 19 years, applied for a physical telephone connection. So the application itself used to take not less than 6 months, and you had to be personally known by by the technicians
Got
and
it.
the managers for them to prioritize your connection. So he made an application. It took us like 6 months to finally get the telephone line brought into our home with the analog handset. We used to have an analog handset where you actually turn a dial to
Yeah,
press number one, and
yeah.
so forth and so on. So that was my first dalliance with can I call it telecommunication at the time. I was, of course, impressed with just how this thing works. Yeah, I used to call maybe one or two friends from high school who also had the opportunity of having the telephone in their house. Uh, what spurred my interest further is the fact that you could absolutely not cheat these systems. Of course, it was expensive to call them. Yeah, so we always look for a way to make it cheaper. You
Yeah.
could absolutely not cheat these systems. And then something quite interesting happened after I finished high school, because telephones were so rare in our community. My father actually decided to open what we would call a telephone service. So a telephone service is that you open a shop, and then people like Deepak come into my shop.
Yeah.
They place a phone call, and then I use a timer, because literally
Yeah.
there was nothing else to do.
Mm.
The analog set would not show the call duration. So you use a timer to tell how much you need to charge. So of course, based on that, you can automatically see why I was interested in telecommunications. Fast forward when we went to campus, I think now that was about 20 years ago. We started now getting mobile telephony services in Kenya. Actually, the year is 2000. The year 2000 is when the first mobile telephony company was licensed here in Kenya, and they started offering the service. Quite expensive, so it took people like me the whole of 2 or 3 years to be able to afford a mobile phone, because thankfully, as the service became broader and wider distributed, the cost of access also became practical, and it started becoming a new way of life. Of course, the mobile phone I got that time was a 2G handset.
Yeah.
But man, you could do a lot with that 2G handset. We could do SMS, we could do voice, and then the other enhancement that came was the ability for us to do multimedia messages. So you could actually combine characters to end up with, say, some emoji of our time. I owned the first Nokia 3310, and I'm proud to say this. It was a very hardy phone, and I think my dalliance and curiosity just kept on building up from the time I was using the landline to this Nokia 3310. And I remember, Deepak, as I was leaving campus, maybe the year 2006, 2007, that's the time we started getting 3G services here in Kenya. And it's the time that I first got my internet-enabled phone, and I was able to connect it to the computer. So the interest just kept on building. Of course, I got an opportunity to work in amongst one of the leading telecoms here in Kenya. And I have been a transformation. I think I joined this company when we are just under 500 base stations around the country. I mean, my main job here is to build and maintain the base stations. Right now, as at this month, we are closing over with over 8,000, with absolutely 95% 4G coverage, and 3G coverage, 5G coverage is also coming up at about the 30%. So I mean, when you look at my journey with telephony, I think I am proud to say that I have seen probably all the last technologies up to 5G, and I'm sure very soon I'm going to have an opportunity to deal with 5G. What inspires me as a person is the kind of transformation. I think I spoke about it in the beginning, the kind of transformation that telecommunications brings to this side of the continent, especially my country. My country has the highest connected number of people on the internet through mobile phone. So if you land in Kenya, you can be sure that the population here, without a mobile phone, they have no access to internet. And you can imagine what access to internet means in the modern day world. In Kenya, we also use a lot of mobile money. So about 80% of our GDP goes through mobile money. So you can imagine, without a mobile network operator, what would be missing out without those two key facets of the economy. So really privileged to have worked all across from analog to digital, and then to be part of the digital journey in our republic.
So telephone as a service, which you developed, 25 years back, right? Your father developed 25 years back. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Now everything is a service that you actually monetize it 25 years back.
20 years. I was ahead of the time, I should say my father was ahead of the time, because I was an operator.
Well, at that time, if you can patent that particular term, now that makes you a billionaire, right? In today's world.
Yeah, true.
Right. I can still imagine, like, the circular dial of the phones, and the analog phone where you do a circular dialing, and then someone is sitting and there is a clock. You track how much minutes they have used. So that it will be according to you. According to that, you charge as per the minute which they have consumed. Right.
True, true. You have a stopwatch because you can also not afford to
Yeah,
to
extend the
guess,
minute
and
rate.
yeah, and your customer also needs transparency. He wants to see exactly how many minutes and seconds I was on the call.
Yes. So
Yeah.
customer experience, I believe, right from the beginning, you are dealing with the customer and handling their experiences.
It, I never thought about it that way, but now that you've said it, true. I was dealing with a customer and making sure they have the best experience and transparent billing, which
Transparency.
is something we talk about even today.
Definitely, definitely. No, no, thanks. And yeah, mobile money is a very important aspect for today's world.
Yeah,
Definitely, I can still remember coming, worked in Africa for many years. I remember, how the communities are scattered across the continent, and what type of connections. For them, 3G or 2G is still very much advancement. Who has not seen any towers or any mobiles
yeah,
till ages, right? So thanks for
true.
bringing that up. Now, if I take a one step down, right, mobile money or voice calls, they all are the applications, right? Means
Yeah,
there are some use cases, but to make that happen, the connectivity or the making the site on air or making the site running is essential, and which means the operations of that particular site is very much needed, and that's your forte, right? So what
yeah.
challenges you see in this domain? So if you want to share some examples or maybe some nightmare which you've experienced where the site is not, coming on after the launch. So I'm pretty much sure there will be a lot of nightmares for you.
I can assure you, Deepak. So, yeah, true. That is actually my forte, to ensure that the services are up, so that our customers can have what we call a seamless and frictionless experience. Uh, one of the key things that I observe, based on, of course, where we are, and based on, of course, the growing demand from customers, one of the biggest challenges that I deal with is power. And when I speak to my colleagues across similar scenarios, looks like it is the one case that is repeated many times in my environment. So power, and why power, Deepak? The reason why power is because telecoms are also in a growth trajectory. 2G, 3G, 4G, and now 5G. 5G typically consumes like 42% more energy than the rest of the technologies combined. So you can imagine, as you add your subscribers into the network, as you grow the capacity of the network, you have also to keep scaling power. So that's normally one of my biggest headaches, especially within the area of assignment that I'm currently working on.
Mm.
uh, people need the service to be on 24/7,
Yeah.
and therefore our base stations cannot afford to be down even for a minute. When you think about it, not many things need to be on 24/7. In the industry here, I have colleagues who work in different industries, for example, textile, manufacturing, where with scheduling, you can actually afford to switch off half of the plant, while the other plant, half of the plant is running something else. But in telecoms, once you put the service on, you can never switch it off, Deepak. So you have you don't have
Oh.
the luxury of doing that. Yeah. So those are the kind of challenges I deal with in environment. Of course, fiber cuts is also big here because of the growing infrastructure. You would expect impact from civil and structural projects affecting the fibers that we've already laid. And we've come up with hybrid ways where we lay a majority of our fiber underground,
Mm.
but also a good proportion of our fiber is overhead, just to see how to mitigate against any effects, whether we have construction going on the ground, bring it overhead, to see how safe you can be. And then maybe to a lesser extent, the failure of the modules. But I must say, with the enhancement of technology, the development of single run, the vendors getting especially very efficient in terms of the modules that they produce. You find that the mean time to repair and the mean time to replace is really widening. Right now, my failure rate is just under 4 or 5% for the modules, which is really impressive. So that leaves me a lot of time to focus on probably 70% of my problem area, which is power, another 20%, which is transmission, especially fiber, and maybe less than 10% of other factors. So how do I mitigate against all those things? So right now, I've embarked on an ambitious project of solarizing the entire network. I did a quarter of the sites in the last 2 years. And in the next 2 years, I expect that I should be doing that percentage to about 80%. We are located in a very prime place within within the equator, so we get beautiful sunlight across the year. In actual sense, in Kenya, you get about five to six peaks and hours in a day across the seasons. So I really want to leverage on that so that I can deflate as much as possible of the energy that I generate from other sources. I still have diesel generators, which I am on a growth path to eliminate, so that I can rely on utility, and solar becomes my priority utility. And I mean, worst case scenario, I go to DG. In terms of fiber, authorities in terms, and even the central government, to get us more protection in terms of the infrastructure that we've laid to avoid the cuts. So those are some of the strategies I've applied. Of course, I have a huge team that helps me to oversee the entire country and the state, and to make sure that we are on an onward improvement path. You asked about my nightmare, Deepak.
Yeah.
I think there is especially one that sticks out in my particular history. This was about the year 2009. I was new in my current employer, and I was running energy for base stations and data center. So our data centers were obviously growing at that time. So I had an incident in one of the data centers where I lost the entire rectifier system. Rectifier system is what produces DC power, because telecom predominantly uses DC power to run the loads. So you can imagine, Deepak, what happens when you lose the entire power system in a data center. We lost services to over maybe at that time 80% of our subscriber base, and it took us a very long time to recover, because when you instantly lose power and you don't give the servers a graceful shutdown, a lot of servers won't do the correct startup. They'll need a backup to be done manually. A lot of services had to be reconfigured. It was a real nightmare. It took the organizations a whole 3 days to fully recover from that particular incident, and to ensure that all customers are connected. Even after we had sorted the initial power issues, a whole 72 hours to fully align in terms of the customer. So that still remains to be one of my darkest days. But I learned a lot, of course, from that exercise. I learned a lot of how we should build our redundancy, what should be my optimum loading in terms of rectifiers within a data center, what preventive maintenance tasks need to be carried out week on week, so that we can see any issues that are emerging. Thank you.
No, I understand. No coverage for, no, it's like, your CPU is not working, right? And the reason is there's no power. So everything has been, put on hold. It's a stalled. And think about the customers and the pressure which you are getting, because your customer complaints are getting increasing up every day. And the media is also, using it for their hot news. So I
Yes,
understand as a person what the type of emotion you may be facing because you are the front runner in that scenario. So,
true.
but these all are learnings. These nothing
Yes,
is under the control of a single person. I understand, and yeah, thanks for highlighting this because this is a similar problem which most of the people are facing in today's time also. So be
true.
resilient, be strong, and look for some alternative as a redundancy, as a alternative options, and so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing up. So you mentioned about one important topic called the team, right? So team means you have to lead them. So I would like to talk on the leadership qualities of yours. So leading a team, especially in this fast evolving technology industry, is come with its own challenges. So what
True.
leadership principles you adopted in your journey?
True, true. Very important, Deepak. In actual sense, of course, I'm a telecommunication professional, but I've been in leadership now for close to 10 years. So that's a long time to be in leadership. So one of the key principles that I practice, and I always want to demonstrate this to the team, is that I trust in the abilities of my team. I trust in their judgment to do the right thing. And whenever I delegate a task to them, I give them all the opportunity to be able to do it, to bring in all the innovation and experimentation. And I just hold them to account in terms of the output that they finally give me. So what I've learned is that trust really does improve how our team cohesion works. The second thing I've learned is about collaboration, Deepak.
Mm,
The teams that I work with, a lot of them are dependent on other teams for them to fulfill their KPIs and to fulfill their objectives. So as a leader, it's in my position and it's one of my obligations to catalyze collaboration amongst the teams, create a conducive environment where they feel that they can fully trust and depend on the other team to do their part so that they can also do their part to achievement. So I build a culture that brings a lot of trust, brings a lot of collaboration. And then another important principle that I practice a lot is reward. You make sure
mm,
that you reward the correct behavior, you reward the correct outcomes, and be sure also to make a good distinction between the what and the how. And this is how I'll explain the what. You find that some individuals are pretty good in terms of delivering an output in terms of the KPI, but how they do it leaves a broken team behind them. So very cautious to have the balance. I supervise a lot of people who are also leaders, and I always urge them to ensure that all the results that they bring to this organization, to the customer, does not also leave a team behind them that is broken. So need to be always cautious, emotional intelligence to just know what is the right thing to say and when is the right thing to say it to our team. They are also going through their own personal struggles. But I can assure you, all the people that I've worked with, none of them wanted to withhold giving back their best to their employer. But for one reason or another, you find that you are not able to give out your best consistently because of other factors that could be not immediately visible to your leader. So those are the three things that I thrive in Deepak. I'll repeat it. Number one, trust. Number two, collaboration. And number three, just rewarding for the correct behavior and for the correct outcomes.
wow. You explained it very beautifully because
Mhm.
handling team means you are dealing with a person, right? And the trust
True.
is the glue which stitch everything. And obviously, reward come with the accountability, right? So
Yes.
thanks for making it. And I'm pretty much sure if you, as a person, I also believe if you really want to grow big, You have to make a platform, and these people are actually building a platform for you.
True, true. We only rise as high as our team is willing to carry us. So if your team is not willing to carry you, Deepak, I can assure you, you will sink.
You will saying definitely, definitely. And
Yeah.
the second important part here is that's also your contribution back to the society, not as a professional, but as a personal
Mhm.
also. Because tomorrow, if they, started their own, or that's a whole economy you are actually building up with empowering these people through their to building a leadership qualities within them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And why raising this point, because I'm also talking with a lot of startups who just come from a colleges, who build their own business, who are maybe new for the business, and they also need such type of guidance that if they really want to grow their business, what is the first mantra to do it happen? Trust your team. You will not get
Trust.
100% qualified person. You will get the
Mhm.
person, but if you trust them as a person,
Mhm.
they will do, and they will go for an extra mile.
Absolutely. And if you try to do what everybody should do, I can assure you, you'll hardly go through a tenth of the tasks that you're supposed to do in a day. So trust is very important.
Trust is very important. Thank you for bringing it, because generally when the leaders come, so all the leaders have the same thing,
Mhm.
that how they can empower others, and empowering come with the trust.
True.
You always talk about network, keeping the network live, and make it running, which is an obviously a critical aspect in today's time. But what advice you want to give to the generations, to the young people, or maybe the mid-level managers, that how they can make their network live? What are the mistakes you feel that other people are doing, and any advice from your side?
Maybe actually out of my experience, I've learned that it is very important to do the in my kind of world we call them preventive maintenance. I know others call it proactive maintenance. So in my world, I've just realized the importance of those two. Okay, it's just one activity. People call it different things. So make sure you are doing all the maintenance activities related to avoid falling into a situation where now you're dealing with an emergency or an event. So some things appear simplistic. They are
Hmm.
simple to do. I mean, Deepak, when you look at, for example, very common example, the way you service your car. If
Hmm.
for example, you didn't service your car after the recommended mileage or duration and kept running it, I can assure you one day your car will stall somewhere on the road, and it won't be, maybe it will be unfortunately the day that you have a very important appointment that you are not able to reach because you never did proper maintenance on your car. So the
Hmm.
same goes for everything that we do in technology. Very important to do all the preventive maintenance in good time so that we can ensure the services is running. The other thing that I do a lot is, and this I gathered when I was doing my ITIL certification, very
Hmm.
important to do problem management, Deepak. So it's good to zone into a place. In telecoms industry, we do what is called root cause analysis to understand what is the real root of the problem. Maybe it was a power problem, but that is very broad. But what exactly in power did not work? Was it an overload? Was it a generator that is aging? Was it a tripped breaker? Was it maybe the solar production was lower than designed or expected? So after you go to the root, which a lot of people do, I must say it's industry-wide practice. A lot of people do the root cause analysis, but now once you expose a particular root, you now do a problem management, because you could be dealing like my situation where I deal with over 8,000 base stations. I have
Hmm.
faced that problem today in base station 1. understood the root cause, fully resolved it. But is that scenario replicated in any of the 8,000 so that whatever I learn from here, I replicate across? So very important to also do the root cause analysis, which we always do, but more important to do problem management. And with problem management, now we understand the real cause of the incidents, and we go ahead to eliminate the cause of the incidents. And maybe the third point I'd give you, Deepak, is in terms of technology enhancement and evolution. I think I mentioned it earlier. I've been, let me give even an example of, I gave the example last time of radio network equipment, where we are now moving from disaggregated technologies to what we call single radio access networks, where the module practically does everything. I've seen right now we are getting RF modules, radio frequency modules that are low band and does quite a number of bands. And when you see the design and construction of that RF module, everything has been thought about in terms of the heat sink, in terms of the power consumption, and even the weight. So as you get opportunity to upgrade the technologies and the networks, you get more resilient equipment. You look at batteries. We've now moved. I'm in the process of modernizing my batteries within the network. But look, we moved from lead acid batteries. We went to something that was still lead acid by hard temperature, because of maybe radio network sites that were indoor. When the temperature rises a lot, it used to damage the old batteries, but we got something that could withstand slightly higher temperatures. Then we moved to lead acid still, but deep cycle batteries, which we could really discharge to a greater percentage. And now in the market, we have lithium. Lithium is if you compare with where we are coming from, it's quite a leap, because lithium battery, ideally you can use up 80% of its capacity. You can charge it very fast. And like lead acid, where even with a deep cycle, I could, to be honest, get only 50% out of that battery and then charge it for a longer duration. So modernizing your networks is really going to play a key role in terms of ensuring that you have proper resiliency and improved uptime. What I observe in my scenario, and I can assure you this is replicated across the industry, you find the older technologies have the lowest availability. Even if you compare my 2G availability to 3G availability, 4G availability, and 5G availability, availability is improving as we move through the evolutions. And this is because of the way the architecture is done. 2G is TRXs, 3G is carriers, and 4G and 5G are practically flat, no controllers. They go straight to the core network. So network evolution also plays a key role. So if I can recap again, do proper preventive or proactive maintenance, get to the bottom of incidents in terms of problem management, and then modernization of the network. Those are the key things that can really lead you to ensuring higher availability.
Wow. One thing which triggers in my mind when you were talking, I'm able to visualize what you are saying, right? Now, as
Yeah.
the technology advances, now the same tower which is having a, earlier 2G, now we are, having a co-located tower which is transmitting till 5G, the
Yeah.
power load conditions changes. And that's where we call it
True.
modernization, right? So
Yeah.
same BTS with multiple functionalities consume more load, and then you have to make a proper adjustment that what would be the right load and how to make it proactive maintain around it, and definitely so that all the technology should be running perfectly with the right balance across it.
Absolutely. Well put. Well put. Yeah.
uh, well, I love you explained it very well. I was trying to visualize in from my head also, how these dots are getting connected, so thanks for bringing it up. And definitely the most of the people there is some gaps which has been left around. which leads to a very much tragedy of having a site down. The right example which you mentioned is the car.
Mm.
Now we, as staying on the technology part, now you have witnessed from 2G, like you've witnessed from analog phones. Now we are talking about 2G,
Yeah.
3G, 4G, 5G. Now obviously there are a lot many things happening beyond it, around in that domain. So what excites you as a telecom professional about the future of the telecom industry?
I think it is Deepak, it is the possibilities. The possibilities are endless with how many. Right now, we are not even talking about connecting customers. I think that was very possible even with the 2G, with 4G. We are connecting things IoT with 5G. So it's for me, it's the amazing possibilities that are being now presented by the telecom industry. It makes communication virtually seamless. We are here on this call. I'm sure you're seated somewhere in India. I'm seated in
And
Africa. Nobody can tell we are not in the same room. This
yes,
this would have been virtually impossible. So for me, it's the possibilities. And what I like about telecom, we have a word here which we call democratize. So whenever you connect a community through a base station or what have you, you are able to democratize the data and information. You practically democratize everything. What does that mean, Deepak? That means a student in Manhattan. I was in Manhattan, New York last year. Very beautiful place. The best skyscrapers you can ever see. Good internet connectivity. The student in Manhattan, and let me think about the most remote place I can think of in Kenya is in the northern parts of this country. It's called Kakuma, for instance. The moment I connect that subscriber in Kakuma to the entire network, he has the same opportunities as that student in Manhattan, New York. If both of them opened Wikipedia and read about Deepak, they will get the same information. So that's being able to democratize. So that's what excites me about technology, is that we are able to equalize the playing field for the entire humanity. Make sure that the opportunities that somebody has are replicated and given to another person, irrespective of their background, irrespective of where they come from. The internet doesn't discriminate, and that can be good as well as bad, as we have learned lately.
right. Now, you
Yeah.
gave a very, very good example, as well as, related what is happening at the other part of the world, obviously, which is the
Mhm.
developed part. And yes,
Mm.
it's a good opportunity to replicate and to provide not exactly the similar, I should say, because it depends on a lot of parameters. But yes,
Yes,
at least improving the customer experience at the best.
true.
And what is your thought process on this AI, machine learning, digital transformation, which is changing the technological landscape? And
Yeah.
as the MWC is going on, as we speak, so I am sure that whole MWC is full with this AI themes only.
Yeah, true. So, yeah, so last year, I also took a very keen interest in AI and digital maturity, ML. I even did a bit of RPA. So I really studied long and hard into the topic because of the obvious transformational impact it can have, not just in the telecom industry, but across. But we have been able to see many examples, especially in my scenario within the telecom industry. For
Mm.
example, when it comes to handling customer experience, we've now deployed AI that can be able to tell us the customers that are getting the worst experience in the network. And then the system is so good, you could not compare it to the analysis that we are doing it manually. it's able to distinguish between the experience that they are getting because of a network fault, or they are getting that experience because of an inherent problem in their device. There are some devices that, of course, for some reason don't work as well as others, or they are getting that bad experience because they're in a place with no coverage. There's always a place we haven't covered. You spoke about mobile money and how it's working here in Kenya. I think we are among the front runners in the global world. I've seen the way we've deployed AI and ML to just ensure that we reduce with mobile money. Of course, now comes the risks of fraudulent transactions and customers being deceived. A lot of AI and ML has been applied to ensure that customer funds are kept safe and fraudulent activities is auto-detected and the activities are blocked. If you come to my particular scenario, I mean, the things that keep me awake are the cost of running the network and ensuring, of course, the network is up when the customers need it. I've been able to deploy some AI and ML tools that are able to learn the patterns within my network. Deepak, I mentioned earlier that, of course, the network has to be on 24/7, but are the customers using the entire capacity in the entire 24/7? No. And this I discovered after now deploying the AI tool that was able to learn customer patterns and it gave me opportunities at which point I could be able to shut down some certain capacity cells that I was not using at night. So that has been working for me powerfully. It helps me to save energy and to ensure that, of course, when the customers need the capacity, it is quickly returned back to service. So thank you, Deepak.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's a very important message for using the AI for the security. So AI in security, and nowadays there's another term which is coming up is called security in AI, right? There,
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
see a lot of lot of videos
need
which
a
are.
balance in, you need a balance in both. Yes, true.
Oh, great. In the interest of time, I would like to understand your initiatives which you are taking personally to uplift the Africans youth and the African communities.
Thank you, Deepak. I think I want to believe that I've done quite a lot in this space. So, and this I do now in my volunteering, or call it pro bono hat. So first of all, I normally volunteer my skills and my time towards there's a program called Technovations that's run globally. So I normally mentor high school and college kids, and I enable them to build applications that addresses real problems that are present within the society. So I challenge them to identify relevant and that we are currently experiencing within our space, and to see how we can use technology to solve the same challenge. So I spend a lot of time with those kinds of people, and then I also do judging for various hackathons and collaboration and competitions to ensure that we are getting the best use and application of technology. I've also been involved. I'm part of the global initiative to see more and more open run solutions being deployed within the world. And this is what gives the youth an opportunity to bring their best to the game, because with open run, you practically become open source. You give all developer communities an opportunities to come engage and to give value within that space. I've also volunteered my time to do talks to young engineers in Kenya. I'm part of what we call here in Kenya, Institution of Engineers of Kenya. So I give them exciting and inspiring talks about how they can also grow their careers within the telecom industry, and how they can just make a difference overall in the space. I get a lot of intern students to come and work directly under me in my department, and I give them an opportunity to experience the breadth and the skill of the careers they can just build in telecom for them to identify the good opportunities they get here. I mentioned earlier that some of my hobbies are sports. I also do a lot of sports with teenagers and young people. I do basketball. I don't play basketball, but I have some basketball teams that I mentor. I have football teams that I normally organize a tournament once in a while. And during that time, we also able to engage on just life in general, how a young person can just be motivated and build their career in whatever aspects they want. It's not limited to technology, but if they are willing and able to pursue a career in technology, I give my services as a coach and a mentor.
And that is very important to remain connected with them. So obviously, everyone doesn't talk about technology. There are so many things which can be done, but the connectivity and the connection, and that comes from the emotional connection via sports, via mentorship, via giving a lecturers, as well as hand holding. Of a mentor is also a hand holding them to reach to their destination. So I understand the level of effort which has been put across, because it's not a like 2 + 2 is equal to 4. It's a very customized based on the age of the person, based on the priorities of the person, based on the personalization of the person.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's a very, very important thing, and I believe it's a job and it's a duty of every citizen to contribute back to the society. So thanks, James, for bringing that important aspects, that there's a life beyond the technology also.
Yeah.
Maybe on the last question, I need your advice for the professionals who are actually becoming a young leaders, or who are taking a responsibility to become a young leaders in their corporate world. So what advice you would like to give it to them?
Yeah, I think this is quite important as well. It's good to mentor young leaders. So I think for me, first of all, is to I learned something just the other day, Deepak, that you have to be at your best as a leader for you to give your best to other people. So while you're becoming a young leader, please also don't forget to, I would say, take care of yourself and ensure that you are also running well physically, emotionally. All those things are important for you to be able to give your best. Secondly, is to always focus on the big picture. I have a customer who told me one day he doesn't care how he gets his internet, if you bring it in a bucket or if you connect him through a fiber network. What he wants is connectivity. So sometimes as technology leaders and people who are amazed and engaged by technology, we often forget to remember what it is that we are doing for the end customer, and we just start badging them and throwing technology at them, assuming they know how to use it. So what I would say is that they also need to focus on the big picture. What is it that you are really delivering to the end customer, not just your organization, not just your internal peers, not just to the people also who look up to you? What is it? What is your mission and your purpose in life? Everybody has to have a mission and a purpose. And if you truly understand your mission and your purpose, the other things come out automatically. Yeah, so very important to focus on those two key things so that you give your best. And when you're giving your best, you understand the reason why you're giving your best. I think there's a very powerful book that has been written by Simon Sinek on the understanding the why. When people understand why they are doing it, you will have no problems motivating them to do it. But if the why is not clear, you'll have a lot of motivational challenges to force people to do stuff.
Big picture, understanding the why, having a purpose, and be vocal about your purpose. Because having a purpose doesn't make a sense unless the another person aligned with your with your mission or with your purpose, and that's create a huge impact. So, and obviously the very important message which you shared is take care of yourself, because if you are weak, then you cannot handle a team.
You cannot, yeah.
Fantastic. It's a lovely, lovely message. Thank you, James. So it's always been a pleasure, having you on the Value Seller Talks. So your insights into network transformation, operation, leaderships, making sure the connectivity is available all the time, and obviously your passion to learn technology and help others is really, benchmark for many. I am personally motivated, inspired. I don't know that this is a James, as a person, and who is contributing a lot back to the society.
Yeah.
Any last message which you want to share with the audience, global audience, as well as for the Value Seller team?
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Deepak. I must say a big thank you for having me. I think for whoever is watching me out there, maybe the parting shot I'd have or the message I can have for them is let's just change this world to be a better place in whatever sector that you are working out of right now, the opportunities that you've been given. There must be a mission and a purpose why you came into this world. So use that mission and purpose to transform all the spaces that we are working in to create a better future. If for me it is technology, I make sure that the technology that I practice here is bringing in a better future for the world. If you work in energy, we have a big piece in terms of sustainability. So make sure that we give the best that we can within our respective areas. If we all give our best in our respective areas, I can assure you we'll have a better world, not just for us, but the generations that come. Yeah.
Right. No, thank you so much, James, for sharing these lovely insightful insights, and the practical experiences which you have experienced during your journey. Tell me one thing: if someone wants to get connected with you, what are the ways to get connected?
Yeah, I welcome that a lot, Deepak, especially the professional connections. So I have my LinkedIn profile. We will pin it to this video. So please connect to me through LinkedIn or my socials. But I think I am more active on LinkedIn. So I welcome the professional connections on LinkedIn. We should be able to pin it to this video. And I welcome those connections.
Oh, lovely. So for anyone who really need expert guidance, so James is available. Feel free to reach to him through LinkedIn. I think that would be the right approach as well. And obviously, when I'm posting this video, you will be tagged, James. So it will be more easy for the people to get connected with you. So thank you once again for your time. And until next time, this is Deepak Bajaj signing off. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak.